driving out of early access. This is Nightwolf Survive the Megadome, which has a great ring to it. The Megadome. I want to fight in something called the Megadome. I don't want to fight in this Megadome. This video is being made to notify anybody that's watching it that this is an avoid. You must avoid this game. There are a few reasons. But first, let me tell you what the game is a little bit. It is an arena car combat game, as you can see. Waves of enemies spawn and try and kill you. If you defeat all the waves in an arena, you move on to the next arena. There are like 3 to 5 arenas that I've seen so far. In between that, you can spend some cash to increase your health, to refill your health, or buy more continues. There's only a certain amount of continues in the game if you die. And after that, it has a cyberpunk theme. You just move on to the next arena, and instead of 3 waves of enemies, maybe 4 waves of enemies spawn. There's a random fame meter at the top, which I really don't know what that does. If you do die and run out of continues, then on your next run before you start it, you can spend your experience on vehicle upgrades or just some general upgrades. For example, shield regeneration, health points. You can see I spent a few of those points here already. I've played a little bit. The problems are vast, but the biggest one is the driving. The driving is quite difficult. It doesn't feel like you have any control at all. It feels very slippy, slidey. You're going to fall off a platform too, and then the car will get flipped over. They even left a button in the game, R, to reset the car because they knew that this was going to happen. I don't really want to play a game like this where I need to reset the vehicle. I need to worry about that I'm in charge of resetting the vehicle. If the vehicle flips over, maybe there should have been some sort of code or process in the game that the car would flip over automatically for you. That would be too generous, perhaps. So the driving is rough. And since enemies can come from all over, you want to make quick U-turns and stuff like that, but the car, like I said, slides around just so you can't have any control over it. You see the car spinning around, and you try and counteract that with oversteering in the other direction, and it just doesn't help at all. Now, people that are going to come in here that have played the game and say that the driving is different on snow and sand, maybe that's true. But to what end? What is the point of having the car drive differently on sand or snow? Realism? Really? Because it doesn't help the player at all. It doesn't help you feel in control. It doesn't make the game more fun. It's not something that is really affecting the enemies too much. They have a perfectly fine control to turn around and attack you right away. No sweat from them. And you're telling me that the only part is this little sliver of road I'm driving on right now is the only place I can make a U-turn? You expect me to drive over this entire arena and get to that little patch and then I can make a U-turn? What about the rest of the level? So I'm not buying that one. All right, you can't sell that one to me. It's interesting that it happens, but not good. Also, the gun on the top. This is a problem because you can't turn the gun all the way around. And so not only is the driving a pain in the ass to make sure that you can aim your car in the correct way, but you also can't aim your gun behind you if you make a mistake. It like compounds upon the issues of driving. It makes them worse. If you got stuck in a corner and some guy's behind you ramming you and shooting your ass up, and you could turn the gun behind you and shoot him, it would feel a lot more fair. Interesting to note that enemies can shoot behind them, so they're not restricted. The top of your gun can only rotate, I don't know, not even a full 90 degrees left or right. So how does that help anybody? You know, it's really hard. I want to be driving straight, know what's ahead of me, have memorized the course, and then be in full control, able to like look behind real quick and shoot the gun. That would be cool. That would be fun. No. You end up driving behind enemies thinking you're in some sort of blind spot, and their gun can shoot you right away. Now, they try and counteract this with making the gun turn slower, but what's the point? They still have pretty good precision aim. They can shoot you from across the map, so it's really still a nightmare. And as I mentioned, after dying, you end up getting to buy some upgrades to your car. But that doesn't really... It just makes the game feel grindy. You're going to end up spending this experience. You keep playing and grinding it out and getting this experience, and then you can buy health, which of course will let you last longer. There's no skill. If I have full maximum all the health I can have, then of course I'm going to just do generally better in the game. Very super, a lot of grinding that's going to happen, and that's not necessarily fun either. On some games, I'll allow it. Not in this one. Pure grinding in this one. There's no way you could beat the game without grinding that stuff. I can't figure out how you would do it. It's too slippery, too many variables that could come into play. Impossible. I do want to mention the one good thing, really quick, that there are traps and various things you can dodge in the map, or those red circles you see in the map. You can shoot those and activate traps like lasers. And when you get people coming through, driving through the laser tunnel up here on the left, you can see it. When you get people driving through that and dying, it is fantastic. Here I am shooting this laser. It'll activate the laser. And then when other cars drive through that and get destroyed by the lasers, it's so awesome. But you don't get to see the awesomeness of it. Somebody just blew up there. You don't get to see the awesomeness of it, though. I wish at the end of the map they gave you like a small replay to highlight some of the awesome moves you've done. But it just all feels very... like not a lot of work went into it. And I guess it's proven by what they promised for the early access. I wrote this down. They said additional playable drivers? No. An engaging cyberpunk story? No. That's definitely not in here. It's just purely an arcade experience, and maybe you might consider it slightly roguelike with the grinding. I don't know. Not to say that they didn't put the effort in, but it doesn't come across. This was pushed out of early access way too soon. I can't imagine anyone really enjoying playing this. I'm sorry. Maybe 15 minutes because you're like, oh, this is a cool thing with the traps, but in general, nothing can really... I really hope the developers work on this more. I don't know why they pushed it out of early access. It's one of those things where they should not have pushed it out of early access. So this is the warning. Don't buy this. Avoid at all costs. And that's that. There's really not much else to say. There's not worth it for me to cover other things about the game that might be interesting. Because it's just an avoid. Just avoid. Thank you very much for watching this long, me ramble about how frustrated I am that a kind of cool idea for a game didn't work out. And it's always sad when this happens. I never want to see this happen. I want all games to be good. I wanted this one to be good. Cyberpunk is awesome. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.